Welcome to the Knighthood Podcast, a comprehensive weekly analysis of the Newcastle Knights 2024 NRL season, brought to you by Michael and James. So fire up and let's go. Are you fired up, James?
Yeah, definitely fired up, particularly after a victory. There was a couple of weeks where we were a bit somber, from a couple of losses and, losing Ponga and that. But no, great victory and pumped for it tonight. So bring it on.
Bring it on. I would say more than somber. I'd say a bit depressed. It's what is it now? We're going into round 9, and I feel like I need a buy. How about you?
It's been a roller coaster.
It has, and already, like we're 1/3 of the way through the season. We've played 8 matches, so that's exactly 33% of the way through the season, and lots happened, hasn't it?
Yeah, I remember it was like 10 weeks ago. I think this is our 10th episode, including the season preview, and it's flown, and a lot of things have happened. A lot of optimism in the beginning. We were pumped. But that's the thing about the season, isn't it? We're going to have that roller coaster ride. So
yeah, that's it. We said we'd go through the whole season and we'd ride the ups and the downs, and that's where we are. So let's get into the episode for tonight. We're going to run through the round 8 review and the round 9 preview of the Newcastle Knights 2024 NRL season. Rightio. So what we'll do is we'll probably just get cracking straight into the review. After that, we're going to run through the 3-2-1 update for the Knighthood Player of the Year. After that, we'll run into the NRL adjusted ladder because we take out the buys and we basically just show the wins and the losses, and that gives us a bit of a clearer idea in regards to where we're actually sitting and where the other teams are sitting. We will go over our 2024 pass or fail. Each week, we'll obviously look at that and see where we sit in terms of our effort and our performance and where we sit on the ladder. Then we'll get into the second half of the show, run over injuries and suspensions. We'll run over the team list, team list Tuesdays. Then we'll go over a final analysis, have a look at our betting tally, our betting tips and our results, and then we'll go over our final results. So, good win. Knights 18 beat the Dolphins 14 there at Suncorp Stadium on Sunday. It was really good. The previous week, I went out and watched the live match against the Bulldogs. There was no I enjoyed the day out there, but it was a terrible performance. Probably by far the worst of our year, and probably will go down to be, or hopefully goes down to be the worst of our year. But it was refreshing to come home and sit on the couch and to be able to watch the full preview before the match and have all the luxuries to really get a gauge on what's going on the match and be in that controlled home environment. So it was 3 tries apiece. We held on there at the end. Luckily, the goal kicking, so I think Asako didn't really, I don't know what happened there. What do you think happened there? He kind of rushed the kicks and he didn't really concentrate. I think if he concentrated, he might have kicked them both because he's a good goal kicker. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, normally he's really good. He's solid, but yeah, he just, like you said, he just probably thought he had to rush it and probably didn't need to. And
we got a bit lucky there.
Yeah, they were going down that side where Marzu was injured and really peppering us in that last couple of minutes.
Yeah, 100%. And they would have kept doing it too if they got it to extra time. So
yeah,
I think we got a bit lucky there. But look, we'll take it. We haven't necessarily had all the luck in the world this year. So let's take that luck when it comes our way. We'll run through some stats here. So basically, we, in terms of all meters run, it was pretty even, around 1,800 meters each. Post-contact meters, we slightly led the way there with 663 compared to their 531. Line breaks, the Dolphins led 7-4. Tackle breaks, we had 44, they had 37, so pretty even. Average set distance, the Dolphins had 49, we had 42. So they were making more meters. Kick return meters, we had 249 in comparison to their 89. So we should touch on that. The tactic to kick high and then to sort of rush tackle them as soon as they catch the ball, I thought was great. Even though it's not necessarily always the best attacking play, the defensive mindset and the pin them down here and smash them and try and keep them in their own half, I thought it was quite effective. What do you think about that, James?
Yeah, I mean, it seems to be definitely an AOB ploy. He's always liked the team to be doing that. When they do it well, it works. But
well, that's the first time they've executed it, I think, all season, where they really got to
they nailed
within
it.
half a second. Yeah, they were just smashing them. Gay guy in particular, I can remember a lot.
Yeah, and I think like where it was probably wrong was against the Roosters. They were just well off with their timing and their chase and stuff like that. But if they can just nail it like this, you know, hopefully they can continue doing that into the future games. While throwing some other attacking kicks in there.
It's hard to defend. It's definitely hard to defend, and if you get it right, it's great. And the kick chase and everything was a lot better this match. The ball speed was pretty even on both teams. I still don't know how they can accurately account for that. The offloads, one thing I noticed is that we basically didn't have a license to offload whatsoever, and we only had 4 offloads all match, which is super low. Dolphins had 12, which is still not overly high, but they were definitely more willing to throw the ball around compared to us, and their attack, I guess, is more gelled. That's fair enough. We've lost Ponga, and I guess we had, like O'Brien said in the previous week in the press conference, we're going to take some steps back here and get back to the basics. I guess that's what they did, and it worked. They executed it well. If we have a look at the kicking stats, we kicked pretty similar distance to the Dolphins. They had 668, we had 640. Forced line dropouts was 1 apiece. Kick defusal, which is something that we haven't always been great with this season. We were at 100%. That's great. And the Dolphins are at 72%. No Jenkins in the side, so that I think that definitely helps. And nothing against you, mate, as a person, but the performance when you were in the team, or when we noticed definitely that the kick defusal wasn't so great.
You beat me to it.
Yeah, I beat you to it. I jumped on the Jenkins train. We had 13 bombs compared to their 3, so that was pretty evident, and that's what we just discussed, that tactic. And Grubbles was 3-2 in our favour. Okay, defense, we had an effective tackle rate of 85% compared to their 89%. We made 50 less tackles than the Dolphins, and we missed 5 less tackles than the Dolphins. So overall, it says that we had more ineffective tackles, but we missed less tackles. So, look, overall, I thought our defense was pretty good. I mean, apart from the last 6 minutes in the match, we held them to 1 try. And they've been a very potent attacking team, especially in second halves. I also think they were fatigued, the Dolphins. They couldn't keep up that effort and the performance level. It's very hard. The NRL season, I look around, as every team, every squad's got lots of injured players, and key playmakers across all teams have been injured, and it's a tough gig, the NRL. But that's why they're professionals. That's why they get paid a lot of money to be in the top 30 squad.
That's it.
Okay, so negative play. We only made 8 errors, and that was good. That first half 100% completion rate was outstanding. We made 8 in the second half, obviously, which is not great, but it was in particular the period where James and I were messaging each other during the match, and I was saying to James, we really need another try here. We need another try, and look what happened. The Dolphins, and we didn't execute. We dropped the ball a few times, and we didn't put them away, and then they came back and gave themselves a chance to win. So, look, we'll take the win. It wasn't the greatest second half performance, but really, I actually rewatched the second half again last night. The Knights, they were constantly getting to the Dolphins' 40-meter and then putting up those kicks, and that's the reason I guess those kicks were so effective, is because they didn't have to chase as far. I think that was the key to that tactic working. So against other teams, maybe the Warriors this week, if we're not making it to their 40, we're only making it to our 40 or the halfway mark. it's going to be a lot harder to execute that so effectively. Penalties conceded. We're pretty disciplined as a side, I think. Apart from that horrible refereeing performance against the Roosters at home, where we had I'll get back into it anyway. Let's go.
All right. My final point. 2 late tries to the Dolphins got the fans nervous. I was nervous. I was sitting there going, oh, Jesus Christ, surely they're not going to blow this. The Knights probably left. I thought they left a few tries out there in the second half, particularly when we made a few errors in their 20. I think it was KPP made 2, and I can't remember the other one. But I honestly thought we could have put 30 plus on them in that second half. We could have put 3 tries on them, but we just sort of made some errors. But we got the victory, and that's the main thing. But just to finish off here, great energy, not perfect, but a gutsy win, and we'll definitely take it.
Yeah, good sum up there. So my points were: we turned up. I thought it was an excellent effort. We had a defensive mindset in terms of our performance, and that's what when I said I was able to sit down and watch the coach's comments before the match. He talked about having a defensive mindset, and you could see that did carry into the game. So they could have, that touching on your point, I thought they could have put the Dolphins away as well in that mid-second half, and string of errors. They just couldn't put them away. But hopefully in the next coming weeks, they can start to learn to do that if they get themselves in a similar position. Unfortunately, we nearly gave it away in the last 10 minutes, but we held on for a good win. This performance, the note here is that it gives us something to build on without KP. So that's now the foundation. Not that they haven't built a good foundation. I thought overall, even though our performance on the ladder, I didn't think it really justified where we were at as a team. And I think we are still a top 8 side. Whether we can get there without KP or not, I'm not 100% sure. But we definitely still have a good nucleus of the side and of the squad. Now, I just want to make one note here. So basically, I think this is what our mindset should have been coming into round 1. Basically, now we're 33% of the way through the season, and we've got one win out of we're only one win out of the top 8. So when we look at the updated ladder, we're only one win out of the 8. We could have easily won a couple more matches. And I just think we actually got it wrong in terms of our mindset in the way that we played, especially earlier in the season, in the first couple of matches. Maybe if they came out with this kind of a conservative mindset and sort of built into the season instead of trying to ride the wave that they had with the 10-run win streak last year, this whole season would be, maybe we'd have another win or 2 on the board. And actually, if we had 2 more wins, would be, I think it's equal third.
Think of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So look at the competition's pretty close, and I think I would definitely put that down to the coach. But we'll get into it. We'll go over the analysis of the 2024 pass or fail pretty soon. James, you want to run over your 3-2-1 there?
Yeah, I've gone 3. Bradman Bessie made quite a few meters, and I thought he was really good defensively, apart from that first try where he got burnt by Jake Averillo. I thought him and Gagai were great in defense, to be honest, out wide.
It's a bit of a worry though. Bestie, he sometimes gets on maybe he gets on the wrong foot or something, because that happened against the Bulldogs with Crichton. Remember, he ran around the outside as well and stood him up. So, that's 2 weeks in a row, and he's meant to be aiming to play State of Origin this year. I don't really care about Origin. All I really care about is Knights' performance, and I don't know. I'd rather see our players not playing for the Knights, especially now that we don't have Ponga. But good luck to him personally if he makes it. But yeah, that's pretty worrying. 2 weeks in a row, he's been stood up at NRL level.
Yeah.
But look, he had a great match, didn't he? He got your three, so good on him.
Yeah,
he had a good match.
I thought he was great. Gagai was great as well. I thought it was just a really good team effort, to be honest. But my 2 points went to the debutant David Armstrong. I thought he was really good. Thought he was, he scored that try early, but he was, couple of really good returns. He looks sharp, which is what we want at the back there. He can be a threat. Ponga is. Not that he's, we don't want him coming in and having to feel that pressure of trying to be a Ponga, but he's obviously got something to him that's going to be dangerous to oppositions. And I thought he was really strong on his first game. Hopefully he can continue. I thought Dylan Lucas was really strong again. He's always a threat out in that edge, and he got my 1 point.
Yeah.
Look at you go. Number 3. You got 3 points.
We're going to get to that. It was, I think your point there that it was hard to find the 3-2-1. Out of all the matches we've had this year, this was the hardest one for me to actually find my 3-2-1. And I'm trying not to look at the stats so much. I sat down and I watched the full game, and then I watched the second half again. So just trying to look at the little things in the match and look at the things that make a difference to the overall result, and the little critical plays that are probably a little bit more important than just like the run meters and the total tackles. But I think they all contribute. It's definitely, I still look at those things after the match. So yeah, look, last week we were a little bit critical of Adam Elliott. We nicknamed him the Kettle. Kettles, most of the time they're cold, but sometimes they get hot, and that's how we've coined that nickname. And he hasn't lost it yet, because he's got to be consistent. But this is the second man in the match performance I've given Adam Elliott this year. And when he plays with 100% passion and effort, and he performs, he is definitely an asset to the team. I remember, I think it was him that he did that. He held up a player and saved us a try there in the second half. I'm pretty sure it was that was the one in the second half. Whether it was that one, I'm not 100% sure, but I remember Elliott being there. I'm pretty sure it was in the second half. And just the overall good performance. He was quite talkative in the huddle before the match. I saw that. So obviously the boys look up to him, and he's a leader in the team, and he's got a voice, and he's there at 13. He gets to work in the middle of the field, and he does a lot of things off the ball, and he's got little passes here and there with links between the forwards and the backs. And I think his runs, they were all, even though he's not the biggest guy and he doesn't always make monster meters, his effort was definitely there, and he was pushing. Just the effort and the drive and the little 1%ers, I think, was all there, and that's why he gets my 3 points this week. And then Tyson Gamble, a try assist, a good kicking game, lots of kicking meters, and good support play. I thought, he influenced the victory, the actual end result, quite a lot. So he gets 2 points for me. Potentially could have got the 3, but he got the 2. And Gay Guy, even though his stats weren't as high as someone like Best and stuff, I just thought his effort and his little plays and his kick chase and all these things were great. So Gay Guy got my 1 point. And if we, you want to run us through the ladder there, James?
Yeah. So at the top, we've still got Kalen Ponga on 17 points there. KPP, I think this is probably the first week where he's been out of both of our 3 points. He's been a bit of a mainstay recently.
He probably would have been amongst my vote again if he didn't have those 2 drops in the second half. And that they were times where we really just could have put them away and easily run away with the match. But critical errors. So if someone, I think the previous week, I was pretty critical of Elliott for making critical error as well. So it's hard to feature in a 3-2-1s if you're making critical errors at critical times. But overall, he played still. His effort was great. His numbers are up there. So yeah, he's doing well. It's a great year for him to be second. I don't think we would have picked that at the start of the year.
No, it's been a great
after 1/3 of the season. Yeah.
On 8 points, we've both got Dane Gagai and Bradman Best. There's 2 on 6 points with Safidi and Crossland. Actually, we got Adam Elliott on 8. He's moved up.
Miss that. The Kettle.
He'll be up with Gagai and Best. Yeah, he's made a massive move there. He's
made a big move.
Great.
He's actually, you can say he's in equal 3rd position. So well done, Adam.
Yeah.
Our player on notice, and you've got a new nickname. So, but aimed up. It's great. That's great.
We got Tyson Frizzell on 5, Leo Thompson on 4, both of those guys on their own. And we got 2 guys on 3 points with Gamble and Marzu, Anari Tuala and Dylan Lucas on 2 points. And the bottom 4 for 1 point, we got Saifidi, Daniel, Jack Cogger, Jaden Brayley, and David Armstrong.
Yep. Okay, so getting a bit of a spread there. And how many players is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So look, you've got around 18 players there who have had a vote. So it's, out of the top 30 squad, and we've only signed 29. It's good to see there's a good mix there, isn't there, across the 8 matches. Okay, let's run over the NRL adjusted ladder. We won't run through 1 to 17, but what we will do is point out our position. We're on position number 13 on the ladder, on the NRL ladder, on the adjusted ladder. So what we do is we take into account the buys, and we basically just focus on the wins. So the Sharks, the Storm, they've had 6 wins. And then we've got the Panthers, Sea Eagles, and Broncos on 5 wins. There's a number of teams on 4 wins. And then it goes down from the Bulldogs on 3 wins with the Warriors and us and the Eels. So as I mentioned before, we're only 1 win off the top 8. Our for and against isn't horrible, but it isn't enough to get us. Let's say we did have 4 wins, it wouldn't be enough to push us into the 8. So we've definitely got some work to do there in terms of building on the attack to get a better differential by the end of the year. But the good thing is here is even though we've lost Ponga and we missed wins that we should have won, we're still there. We actually do have a chance still to make the top 8. And I am going to enjoy the season now without Ponga, and to see if this team can just be consistent and play maybe an old school kind of style of Newcastle, like O'Brien was saying in the press conference, DNA. Hopefully they bring that, just tough and, get all the little things right and make sure the effort's there and aim up week on week and play well at home. Don't give away, the victory at home against the top team. So we've got that this week coming up against the Warriors. So I want to see more of that. Okay, overall, in terms of the season, we've had 8 matches. We're 33% of the way through the year. Have we passed or have we failed? We won't go through all the matches, but basically I've put a little smiley face here next to the games where I think we performed as a team. We turned up and we played well, even though we didn't win. I think 5 out of the 8 matches we have turned up and played well, and then there was 3 matches which I have nominated as the Raiders match, the Cowboys match, and the Bulldogs match. I thought those 3 matches were, the Bulldogs was the worst for me. The Raiders was second worst. I think tactically got that wrong. We came in off that wave of last year as opposed to showing how to win a round 1 match. That was how we played against the Dolphins last week. So if we played like that against the Raiders, I'm sure we would have won that match. But we didn't. Anyway, that's where we are. And then we basically didn't get things together. I think the instability in the spine and the team in round 2 cost us as well. So the Cowboys were absolutely abysmal in that first half, and we really should have smashed them. It should have been 24-30 nil at halftime.
And we're only up 12-0, weren't we?
12-0.
2 tries, I think.
12-0.
Yeah.
12-0. Yeah.
We got out to 2010.
That's right. And we had two really good chances to win that match, and we let them back in, and we ended up losing. So by 1 point in extra time, and we have lost 3 matches this year with a total of 11 points. So the Cowboys match there, we lost by 1 point. We lost by 2 points to the Roosters. That was another close one. So we've had. We only won by 2 points against the Storm. That was a close one, but we got the chocolates there. But overall, we'd have to say that with 3 wins and 5 losses, we are failing this year. But I've made a note here. We could have easily been 5 wins and 3 losses, and that would have been equal third on the ladder. Now, I mean, let's say, James, if there's 2 matches there that we could have easily got, which 2 would you have picked?
Oh, Cowboys and Roosters.
Yep. Yeah, it's pretty easy to see, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean,
well, I think I think we got cooked by the Roosters but from the refereeing decisions. I'll go on about it and for years to come. I just thought that was a horrible refereeing performance, and that cost us the match. And obviously Ponga was injured as well, but yeah, so definitely the Cowboys. Yeah, well, God, just throw we threw it away. So even if we got one of those, we would have been 4-4. Yeah, and that 4-4 gets us into the top 8. So unfortunately, overall, I would say a combination of the coach and the squad not getting their mindset right at the start of the year. I think that's affected us, and we might have had a little bit of bad luck with the ref in one of the matches. And I guess it's just those little things that really add up, and that makes a difference between maybe making the 8 or making the 4. And unfortunately, most things have gone against us now. We've lost Ponga and we've had to reshape the season. And yeah, we're moving into the second third of the year, which is I am looking forward to it. I think we've got a good chance in the next sort of few rounds before the bye to show what we're made of, and we've got it this week coming up against the Warriors.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into a quick message from our season sponsor, MB Optimal Oral Care. MB Optimal Oral Care are our season sponsor of the Knighthood podcast. They have a range of zero plastic oral care products that are best for you and best for the planet. You can check out their full range of products via Chemist Warehouse online. Find the link in the description. Yep, so thanks to MB Optimal Oral Care for sponsoring the Knighthood podcast for the 2024 NRL season. Great products. Just if you should be stopping and rethinking your oral health. There's, cleaning your teeth with plastic toothbrushes and using plastic floss and floss picks and using products like Listerine to you think you're cleaning your mouth, but there's actually a lot of benefits to scraping your tongue before you brush your teeth and not necessarily using harsh chemicals and things in your mouth and using non-plastic products. So if you're interested, time to rethink your oral health, jump onto Chemist Warehouse online and search MBEMBI space OOC. That's MBOOC, and the link is also in the description below. All right, let's get into the second half of the show, James. We're going to run over now the injuries and suspensions within the squad. One thing that we have had in our favour for the first 8 rounds and 33% of the season is that our strength rating most weeks has been actually better than our opposition. I think almost every match we've had a better strength rating. So I've had a little bit of fun this week. I've put some little
what's going on there?
That's a crosses. Playing noughts and crosses here. Well, what's going on is that when you see the teams list is that okay, so I can tell you now, Marju's named on the wing. Safidi's named in the front row. And I'm not sure about Frizzell, actually, even if he's been named. We'll have to wait till we get to the teams list. But there's some players here that basically I think have been named and they won't play. And then we've got Hetherington with a smiley face and Frizzell with a smiley face. Now, I thought Frizzell was going to be playing this match, so we'll have to wait till we get to that teams list to check it out. But overall, we're still at 82%, and that's based on our top 17. Now, if you have a look at the Warriors, basically the Warriors are at a 70% full strength rating. You've got Freddie Lussick out, Shane Harris-Tavita, Jazz Tavanga, Bunny Afoa, Martin Nakore, Luke Metcalf, Kurt Capewell, who's actually been named. He's on this injury. This is from NRL.com. And I can't pronounce the other guy's name. I'm not even sure if he's in the top 17. But overall, once again, we're coming up against a side that doesn't have a strength rating as high as what we do. Let's get into the teams list. James, you want to run us through the backs there?
All right, I'm just bringing the screen closer.
Sponsored by Specsavers.
Oh, mate, I need them. All right, here we go. For the Knights, we have David Armstrong in his second game at fullback. We have Greg Marzu named on the wing, and the other winger, Anari Tuwala. In the centres, we've got Dane Gagai and Bradman Best. And in the halves, we've got Tyson Gamble and Jackson Hastings. For the Warriors, at fullback, we've got Chance Nickel-Klokstad at fullback. On the wing, Dallin Watini-Zelezniak and Marcelo Montoya, the other winger. We've got Roger Tuivasa. Yeah, Rocco Berry and Roger Tuivasa-Sheck in the centres, and Tamari Martin and Sean Johnson at halfback.
So overall, well, my thoughts there are the Warriors have got a pretty strong back line.
Yeah.
And I don't think Marju is going to play. If he played, I'd be surprised. Yes, Jenkins is he's coming in.
He's
Jenkins
injured, isn't he?
Coming. He's coming in. He's been named on the extended reserves. So okay, so I would say this week that Jenkins will play on the wing. And if you think about that, with David Armstrong at fullback, nothing against Armstrong, but he is still
inexperienced.
He is inexperienced. And if you combine that then with Jenkins, and then if you look at, Wattelli, Zelezniak and Klokstad and, Tuivasa-Sheck and it's a pretty imposing back seven. So, yeah, my thoughts there is that if Marju doesn't play, that's not going to help us at all. And we're up against it. I'll run us through the forwards, save your eyes. So we've got so once again, Jacob Safidi's been named at prop. Now, if he plays, I'll
look bad. Yeah.
His Achilles gone. He will not play this match.
Yeah.
If he does, it's a miracle. And I hope he does. Brayley, he's in there at 9. Leo Thompson's in there at 10. We've got Lucas and Kai Pearce-Paul in the second row, so no Frizzell, I can't see there. And we've got Adam Elliott at lock. For the Warriors, in the front row, we've got Aiden Fanua-Blake, and we've got Mitch Barnett. In hooker, we've got Wade Egan. In the back row, we've got Jackson Ford and Kurt Capewell, and locking in is Toto Harris. What are your thoughts there, James?
Yeah, it's a. I mean, Fanua-Blake is in good form, but the Warriors in general have been a bit patchy this year. But it's a good forward pack, very experienced, and just Barnett's probably playing some of the best footy he's ever played. He was played at the Knights for a while, but he's playing great footy with the Warriors.
There's talk about him making the State of Origin team, so that's good on Barnett. And it's one of those things that we touched on last week, is that a number of Knights players end up leaving the Knights and going on and playing, performing well in other clubs.
So if Jacob is omitted from the team, obviously Hetherington comes straight in.
Well, let's get to the interchange. So on the interchange for the Knights and 14, we've got Phoenix Crossland, Daniel Safidi, Jed Cartwright. So once again, Jed Cartwright, he's not playing either. When our podcast is aimed on being as accurate as we can and predicting outcomes. So when the coaches are allowed to put players in that are not going to play, we've obviously got to read between the lines, and think about what's going on there. I'm confident that Marju may play. I'd say he's 50-50. Jacob Safidi won't play. I'd say he's 100% out. And I'd also say Jed Cartwright's 100% out. So that leaves us there with one player in the interchange and one player in the starting lineup that I'd say would 100% not going to play. So then we've got to start thinking, okay, who's going to come in off that extended reserves? And we'll get to that in a second. Brody Jones, big bad Brody Jones is there in 17. For the Warriors, we've got Dylan Walker, Tom Alley, Jacob, is it Laban? And Bunty Gafoa.
Laban, yeah.
Lieben, that's it. It's Lieben. All right, so let's have a look at that extended reserve. So we've got Crocker at 18. So let's go back. Crocker will play. He would most likely replace Cartwright, wouldn't you think?
You think so? Yeah.
Yep. So we'll say that Crocker's going to come in for Cartwright. And then we're going to say Hetherington's going to come in for Jacob Safidi. But what we may see is Daniel Safidi pushing up into the starting lineup and then we're going to see. So what I would say that we'll see Jack Hetherington in 14, and we'll see Matt Crocker in 15 and Brodie Jones in 17, with Daniel Safidi starting the match.
He'll have to be on top of his game against the Warriors pack, that's for sure. He's been a bit off, and he needs to be
he played well last week, and it's
he did,
week in, week out, and his brother's out, so maybe that'll help him. Maybe his mojo's better with his brother out. He feels like he's the big brother. He's got to aim up, and that's exactly what he's got to do. So
he needs to fire up.
The other smoky prediction I've got this week is Jack Cogger is there on the extended reserves. Now, can you remember against the Dragons, O'Brien picked Cogger, and Cogger played with Hastings, right, in the halves?
Yeah.
I think even though Gamble played so well last week, I think there's a chance that he may replace Gamble with Cogger. And I'll tell you why I think that, because the reason it was cited in conferences that I've listened to from O'Brien, he picked Cogger because of his kicker game in the wet. Now, look what we did. We beat the Dragons 30-10 in that game in the wet. Now, we'll get to it in a second. The weather is it's going to rain all week, and it's not going to be pleasant conditions there. And what did you say last time, James? Marathon Stadium, not McDonald Jones.
Yeah,
Marathon Stadium is going to be flooded. It's going to be wet. So, I mean, depending on the weather conditions, I'd be inclined to actually bring Cogger in, because our performance against the Dragons. If you look at what the Dragons did after that match, they went and won a couple of matches, and they did get flogged against the Roosters, but they did win a couple of matches, and they were playing quite well. So they're not a shit team. The Dragons are a pretty decent team, and we gave it to them 30-10, and that was a shutout. That was a really polished. That's a top 4 performance. I did mention that on the pod, so keep it in mind. There's a lot of smokies going on this week with the Knights, and look, we need to look at different things to give us an advantage without Ponga now. So I think that's the reason why the coach is playing it that way. I think the Warriors lineup's a bit more straightforward. In their extended reserves, they've got Adam Pompey, Xylon, is it Malu? Forgive me if I get these. Edward, Kohler, Tane, Tapalaki, and Tanner Smith. We'll call him Tanner Smith.
That's gold. Oh, I love
gold.
that.
Hang on. That's gold. There you go.
That's gold. You've done better than I would have.
No, I don't know about that. But both of our eyes are not so good, and our screens are a little bit away from us. So we've got a couple of technicals tonight. But yeah, look, there you go. You heard it first on the United podcast. I think there's some smokies going on this week with the team. So definitely take that in consideration if you're thinking about having a bet. The referee and the weather for round 9 match against the Warriors, we've got Chris Butler. This is proving to be a good little addition, and I think the previous couple of weeks we've had decent records with the refs, and it has proven. I thought the refereeing last week was quite good. I was really happy. If you watch that first 20 minutes in that match, or even the first half, the ref was very reluctant to give away penalties, and he let the game flow. And I think that's one of the reasons that allowed us to kind of have that high completion rate, and we ended up doing well. Because the refs didn't interfere. But in the second half, they started to get involved a little bit more. But we have a good record compared to the Warriors against Chris Butler. We've got a 53% win record versus the Warriors there at 32%. We don't know how the game's going to be managed, but we do know that the rain's going to be around all week. It's going to be wet. It's going to be around 19 degrees Celsius, according to the BOM, Bureau of Meteorology. Final analysis. So we do. We have the strength rating in terms of the squad, 82% compared to 70%. We've got some uncertainty around the starting side for the Knights, as I've touched on. The Knights coming off a gritty win without Ponga, which is great, and the Knights are proven in the wet conditions. And I've put there in brackets there Cogger. So I've touched on that. I think Cogger is a chance to play this week, especially if it's really wet. And I think that would be, maybe we'll call it a masterstroke if he plays Cogger and we get up in the wet. That would be a masterstroke. The Warriors are coming off losses to the Dragons and the Titans. So actually, it was one thing that we've brought up on this pod, and I referenced it before, is that we got pretty close to the Warriors there in New Zealand, and everyone was talking them up as a potential grand finalist and potential premiership winner this year after they beat us in New Zealand. And I thought, we're not too far off the Warriors still. And look what's happened in the last few weeks. Now, all of a sudden, the Warriors have only won 3 matches. We've won 3, and they've got a draw against Manly. So, there's not too much between these sides. On paper, I think the Warriors definitely come in with a stronger team this week. But, we've got them at home this week. And I think potentially in the wet, maybe we've got an advantage. Maybe we've got an advantage in the wet. What are your thoughts there on that?
Well, I've been thinking about it today, and I'm actually coming into this game quite confident of a good performance from the Knights. Obviously, coming off the back of the Dolphins game, but I just think that being at home, the confidence from that, and just knowing that we held our own against the Warriors in New Zealand for long periods of that game. Yeah, we couldn't get the points, but I think they'll take confidence out of that loss, knowing that they can hold them in the forwards and just really aim up. And I honestly, I think we're a chance at causing an upset or.
Well, yeah, we are. Look, we're going to roll up our sleeve, and we've taken some steps back, and we've got our game plan right. And I think with the wet weather conditions, that brings us probably more into this game. And look, we're up against the Warriors side here. Their attack has been pretty ordinary.
Patchy.
It's actually
really patchy.
It's been quite ordinary. Yeah, I just look, they're a bit off. They have we got it here? I think they lost to the Dragons, and who else did they lost to the Titans? So, they've been off a couple of weeks there, and they had a draw there against Manly. So we're getting them at a good time. Their confidence won't be overly high, and we actually beat them this time last year in Newcastle, and we actually beat them without Kalen Ponga. So there's some insight for you for this week's match. There's a number of things there that when we bring them to light, they do make me feel fairly, I wouldn't say I'm bullish, but I'm starting to feel more confident. But a lot of that's going to be determined by the final lineup of this side, and we won't know until probably an hour before the kickoff. Let's go into our season betting tally brought to you by TopSport. James, you sat on the sidelines last week. We had a bit of a rough run there, obviously, with the Roosters match where the ref, and then we had the Bulldogs match with Ponga, and the team performance was just hopeless. And then you've had a week on the sideline. So after having a week on the sideline, we're going to get to your prediction in a second. Yeah. I'm not sure if you're going to have a punt this week with your $100, but I was able to land a bet last week. My prediction was for the Knights to, with a 4.5 point start at $1.68 there on TopSport. Eventually, I actually got $1.74 before the match. I held it off a little bit later. But that takes my head-to-head strike rate for the year at 5 wins and 4 losses at 56%. So that could have, with a couple of little things here or there, definitely could have been around the kind of 70 to 75% mark, which is where I need to be, at an average odds of around $1.66 to make a 25% profit. So my average winning odds is actually pretty good at the moment at $1.85. On live bets, I'm 1 from 1 at 50%. So overall, my betting, I'm pretty, I would say I'm at par. I've got a slight loss there for the year at -4%. I was looking at my performance and analysing it, and I made a mistake. I think it was in round 3 when we beat Melbourne. I actually hedged my bet. I had $50 on a first try score for Bradman Best, and I had $50 on the Knights at 1 to 12. So, yeah, I made a mistake there. I never really bet on first try scorers. If I bet on just the 1 to 12 there, I would have been at 11% profit for the year. So it just goes to show that little decisions, they make a big difference when it comes to actually making a profit or a loss, because don't forget that we are up against the bookies. They have an advantage of about 10% with the odds. So we're already behind the 8 ball before we even try and start picking. So look, overall, my aim is to make a 25% profit for the year. And from this position, and after a winning bet last week, we're sort of back on track there. We always touch on here that if you were to back the Knights head-to-head for the season, well, it wasn't looking good before last week. They actually won and they paid $2.80 head-to-head. So they're now at a minus 24% for the year at minus $195. So they picked up $180 there, which is great. They've won 3 matches, lost 5 at 38% for the year strike rate. So not great. If you're betting with your heart instead of your head and backing the Knights, you're losing your money. So you're better off to consider some of our thoughts before you place your bets each week. We don't always tip the Knights. I try and avoid betting against them. I find it difficult to do, but if I feel really strongly against them, I will. Well, let's run into the odds then from Top Sport for this week's match. We've got the Knights to win at 235 at home. Warriors to win at $1.60. Knights at the line plus 4.5 is $1.86. Knights 1 to 12 is $3.70. Knights 13 plus is $6.25. James, here we are. What's your bet for the week? Or are you going to bet, or are you going to sit on the fence again?
No, I'm going to bet. I'm going to slowly but surely claw myself out of the hole.
Yep.
I think the Knights are going to win, so I'm putting my $100 on Knights to win at $2.35.
Okay. Well,
yep.
That's
I'm going for it.
He's going for it. 235. So before you put your final bet, I'm going to get you to consider one thing. So if you're saying they're going to win, let's run through some things here. Just talk out loud. What do you think the odds are for the Knights to win 1 to 12 in terms of a percentage? So if we win, is it 75%? Is it 90%? Are the chances higher or lower that we're going to win 1 to 12 or 13 plus?
Oh, I think it'll be a closer game. I don't think we're going to win by 13 plus.
So you got to consider here, right? Especially now, obviously, guys and girls, gamble responsibly. If you're trying to make up ground, I think if the Knights win, right? My opinion is you're better off to back them here 1 to 12. You got 370 compared to 235. Now, that's my opinion, and now you got to make a decision. And that's like everyone who listens to us, listen to what we've got to say, factor it in, and then make your own decision. So I'm not advising you to go either way, but I'm just letting you know that, I mean, if the Knights win, it's most likely going to be 1 to 12, and the odds difference there is quite dramatic. So for your $100, you get back 370 at 1 to 12, as opposed to get back 235. And the chance that it is going to be in the wet. Now, another thing to consider, if you look at it the other way, we beat the Dragons 30 to 10 in the wet.
True that, yeah. And
so I'm screwing with you here. I'm screwing with you now.
Oh, mate, what are you doing to me? Nah, I'm gonna stick with the my original bet, and that's
going to stick solid. Okay,
stick
good
solid
man.
with a 235, and yeah, I don't know. I'm feeling that they're going to put in a really good performance, and yeah, I'm confident this week.
Well, I'm glad you're confident. I'm a bit thrown off with the team list this week, and I'm pretty confident that I can predict who's in and out of the team, but still, I don't like guessing, and I won't know until kickoff. So I don't actually. Well, let's get to the final analysis. The call. This is the call for the week. I think there are too many variables to predict an outcome at this stage. Like I said, I think there's a lot of uncertainty around who's actually going to line up for the Knights, and that includes Cogger. And we still don't know the weather conditions. Who knows? The Bureau of Meteorology have been wrong before plenty of times. So we don't know if it's going to clear up. We don't know what the conditions are going to be like. We don't know what the final teams are going to be like. And for that reason, I don't actually have a lean either way. I'm concerned that the Warriors, their backline is very strong and their forward pack is strong. Overall, their squad is strong, even though we have a full strength rating higher than them. Maybe the quality of their squads is slightly higher. And the fact that they're coming off a draw and 2 losses, they're not going to be turning up here just to just to punch in the minutes on the clock.
No,
So
that's true.
I'm going to sit on the fence until game day, until 1 hour before kickoff, and then I'm going to announce on Twitter or X what my bet is. And I may not even bet this week. I had a good feel. I had a good line on what was going to happen last week. My question was, I wasn't sure if the Knights were going to really turn up after that terrible Bulldogs performance and after losing Ponga, but they did. They gelled. I think it's to our advantage this week. We're at home. Maybe the conditions will be to our favour. And the fact that the Warriors are not coming into this with full confidence and attacking confidence as well. So that all to me leads to a pretty tight match, a bit of an arm wrestle, a pretty similar game plan from the Knights this week. And yeah, I'm going to sit on the fence.
All right, I look forward to seeing what you come up with, or if you do
That's
come
it.
up with something.
Tune into X if you want the tip before the match. And look, hopefully we can get the season going in the right direction here. We're entering the second third of the year, and look, that pretty much wraps up the content. I'm just going to change the screen here just quickly. Rightio. There we go. Make us bigger, mate. We managed to work through the technical difficulty tonight. So look, awesome win last week. Great to see we won without Ponga. Great to see that we landed our betting prediction. One step at a time, we're going to get this season going in the right direction. We're only 1 win out of the top 8 at the moment, so 3 wins, 5 losses, but there's top 8 teams there with only 4 wins right now ahead of us. So what are your final thoughts on where we're at, James, after 1/3 of the year?
Yeah, I mean, after coming up to round 9, it's we'd like to be further than what we are as far as wins, but I think we've going over some of the stuff earlier with some of the stats. We've lost some close games. Things haven't been as bad as what maybe we
no, they definitely haven't been sometimes. As bad. Yeah, well,
it's not all doom and gloom. Yes, losing
100%.
Pong it's a big blow, but we've got to roll on and get over that. And just the guys out there just got to do a job and hopefully rack up some wins.
Well, I think if we learned something from last week, we learned that our players, they are close because they all aimed up, and we learned that they can play to a different game plan. So they got coached to a different game plan, and they executed and won. So I think the coaching staff definitely made some mistakes. I don't think they handled the end of last year into the start of this season right. But it is what it is. We're only a couple of wins off, being in equal third position. So it just goes to show those little critical things, like me with the betting on a first try, anytime try scorer, as opposed to betting on the straight, more boring bet. Little things add up to your overall result, and in life, that's ultimately all those little things that you put together and get right or get wrong. They stack up and they determine your outcome. So, look, we'll keep rolling on week. It's actually, I think it's an interesting game this week, and I'll be enjoying it from the couch. I won't be going to the wet weather game. I won't be. I wonder if Snorkel Guy's going to be out this week. What do you reckon?
Oh, if it's as bad as last time, geez, he'll definitely be out. But that was horrendous last time. That was like ultra wet conditions. The ground held up pretty well considering, but surely it can't be as bad as that. But we've got, if Cogger comes in and that could help us out with the kicking game, but we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. Keep an eye on X, and thanks again for all your effort, James. We won last week. We're going to go out to the winning team song, mate. So let's hope we hear it again this week, and let's hope you land your bet.
No worries, mate. See you next week.
Cheers, mate. Bye.